Y'all, it's a fast-paced and competitive market out there, right? Does it feel like every time you find the house of your dreams, you can't seem to move quick enough to make it your own? A house goes on the market, and then within a day, it can have multiple offers on it. Or even worse, we could be faced with the dreaded bidding war. Well, today I'm going to share with you 8 tips on how to keep your sanity and win the bid in this crazy market. So stick with me. I'm Tracey Scholen with the HàVN Group, and we specialize in helping families relocate to the greater Atlanta area. You don't necessarily have to do all 8 of these tips in order to win the bid, but I wanted to share with you all some of my favorite strategies to use when I'm trying to win the bid for my clients. Tip number 1, you have to be quick. If you have looked at any houses in the last several months, then you know this is no time to be creeping like a snail. When you find a house that you would like to go see, you must move fast. Showing appointments fill up fast. Reach out to your trusted real estate agent and ask them to go ahead and schedule an appointment to see the house as soon as possible. Once you see the house, you will also want to make a quick decision about making an offer. The majority of listed houses in this fast-paced market are moving at lightning speed these days. Agents are asking for all offers to be submitted within days of the first day the house is even on the market. So long gone are the days when you could think about the house for a few days, take your time to crunch the numbers, or even go and see it a second time. Can you imagine? Yeah, no, can't do that anymore. So you need to stay on top of the inventory that's coming out, stay on top of the market, and make sure that your schedule is open so that you can go see these homes quickly. Tip number 2, make sure you are pre-approved to purchase a house, not just pre-qualified. There's a huge difference, and some people use those terms interchangeably, but there are some important differences that every home buyer should understand. Pre-qualifying is just the first step in getting a mortgage. It gives you an idea of how large a loan you'll likely qualify for. Whereas pre-approval is the second step, which is a conditional commitment to actually granting you the mortgage. And in this current market, agents are asking for a pre-approval letter from your lender up front. So sellers really want to know that you are qualified financially to purchase their house. They don't want to waste their time even considering an offer if you cannot prove that you are financially sound buyers. Make sure to work with a trusted lender that will help you to be able to write strong terms, and make sure that you are fully pre-approved. Being pre-approved will give the seller certainty and confidence that you are less likely to fall out of the contract because of financial reasons. Tip number 3, have your agent reach out to the seller's agent and gather some information. Now, most agents are not going to actually let you know what all the offers are that are on the table so far. Although yesterday, to be honest, I just called somebody and it was awesome because she actually told me exactly what the highest offer was and what was really important to her client. Cha-ching! I was so happy. But that is not typical. Most of the time, we don't know what the other offers are. And wouldn't it be nice if we had a crystal ball? Yes, it would, because we don't know. Are they all for cash? Or, is there a due diligence period? Are they buying it as is? Is it over list price? And for how much is it over list price? We don't know these things typically. But we are able to find out what's most important to that seller. So maybe it's, they need to close fast because the house is vacant and they're not really wanting to have the holding costs and the second mortgage, but since they've already moved out. Maybe it is that they actually want to stay in the house for some time because they want to finish out school with their kids, or just to be able to be there until their next house is ready. We just don't know these things unless we actually reach out to that seller's agent. I know for my clients, I want to find out what's important to the seller. So what will make our offer stand out? So we can use all of this information that we gather to our advantage when we submit our offer to the seller. Tip number 4, do not come in with a low-priced offer. You need to be aggressive if you are putting an offer in the market like we're in right now, where houses are going under contract the same day that they're actually being listed, or there are 10, 20, or honestly, y'all, 30 offers coming in on one house. So we want to keep in mind that your dream house is not going to sell for under the list price. Those days are gone. So if you are adamant about putting in a low offer, you are almost guaranteed to not win the deal. This is where your knowledgeable real estate agent will come in super handy. If they know the market and know what houses are going for, they can guide you as to what you should be offering on the house. And there's another tip. It might be a really good idea for you to be looking at houses that are really like $20,000 to $30,000 under your budget, since houses are tending to go for over list price. This will give you some wiggle room in your offer price. When you do find a great house that fits your needs, you need to come in strong from the get-go to make your offer stand out. Tip number 5, you can choose to waive the appraisal. Now, I don't suggest this one for everyone, but this could be an option for you. Because there is so much demand and very little supply, and the market is crazy hot right now, prices are being driven up and the homes are often selling for way over list price. So there's kind of this concern that the house is not going to appraise for the amount that you're getting it for. So for example, if a house is listed for $600,000 and it sells for $650,000, you still need to make sure that it will appraise for $650,000. But what happens if it doesn't? Well, now if you're paying cash, this isn't going to be an issue. But if you're taking out a loan, your lender will require you to have the house appraised. When you use that term, waive the appraisal, you are not saying that you are not going to have an appraisal done. You're just saying that if the appraisal were to come back lower than the sales price, you are willing and able to make up the difference. So essentially, this means that when you agreed to buy the house for $650,000 and the appraisal came back at $630,000, you are telling the seller that you will come to the table with the extra $20,000 in cash to cover the difference in sales price and appraisal. That's beyond the down payment. So if this is something that you choose to do, you need to make sure that you have that extra cash to put towards the sales price. If you don't want to take the full risk of putting up the entire amount, you can always have your agent write in the initial offer that you are willing to put up to a certain amount towards the difference in the appraisal. For example, you could say you would be willing to pay, let's say, $10,000 towards the gap in the appraisal amount. So if you bought the house for $650,000 and it appraised for $630,000, then you would essentially be paying $640,000 and the seller would be willing to come down to $640,000 for the final sales price. Tip number 6. Agree to take the property as is. This is another strategy that may not be for everyone. You could still have an inspection on the house, and I definitely recommend that. But this tells the buyers that you are not going to nickel and dime them on every little item that shows up in the inspection. I recommend buying the house as is for buyers who have owned homes before and who are handy, or those homeowners who are already planning to do major renovations. If you're new to buying a house, or buying a house as is makes your stomach turn a little, then there is another way to communicate to the buyers that you aren't going to ask for every tiny little thing needed. You can set a limit on inspection repairs. What this means is that you choose an amount of money, let's say $4,000. And once the inspection comes back, you agree that you are not going to ask for any repairs unless the cost of the suggested repairs exceeds that threshold that you have set of $4,000. This tells the sellers that you aren't going to be asking for every $50 or $100 repair, but you do reserve the right to discuss any large ticket items that might show up. This is something that could be attractive to a seller. Tip number 7, think about adding an escalation clause. What an escalation clause means is that the buyer is willing to raise their offer or escalate it on a home if the seller receives a higher competing offer. The clause will state how much more the buyer is willing to pay than the highest offer. Essentially, escalation clauses offer buyers protection if other potential buyers outbid them. In general, an escalation clause can show the seller how serious a buyer is about a property and how far they're willing to go to win the home. In most cases, an escalation clause will have a cap of how much the buyer is willing to spend to beat those other offers, up to a specific limit. So if you are offering $500,000, but if someone comes and offers $510,000, your offer automatically goes up to $511,000 and you win the bid. This gives you the peace of mind knowing that you are never going to go above a sales price of $520,000. But just remember that if someone offers $520,000, the clause states that you are not going to go above that price. Your agent can help you figure out the best way to go about creating an escalation clause. Tip number 8, offer an option payment for the due diligence period. Well, what does that mean? Well, let's first talk about what a due diligence period is. A due diligence period is a period of time, usually a few days. It used to be like 7 to 10 days, and now it's like 1 to 2, that the seller is granting the buyer the option to terminate the contract within that time frame for any or no reason at all. In a nutshell, nothing in the contract as a whole is enforceable until we get past this due diligence period. So what an option payment is additional money that goes from the buyer to the seller. It's not part of earnest money, or it does not go into an escrow account. It is completely non-refundable. Let me say that again. It is non-refundable unless, of course, the seller defaults on the contract. It may or may not be applied to whatever the buyer's cash to close is at the time of closing. So it's very important to understand that you will not get this money back. So for example, you could offer the seller $4,000 as an option payment for a 10-day due diligence period. This means the seller would take the house off the market, and if you decide at any point during those 10 days that you don't want the house for any reason at all, you can back out of the contract. But remember that $4,000 now belongs to the seller. This could be one way to entice the sellers, though, to choose your offer over someone else's in this competitive market. Okay, y'all, there you have it. 8 tips on how to win the bid in this crazy market. I really hope that one of these tips helps you win your next bid. I'm Tracey Scholen with the HàVN Group, and we would love to help you with any of your real estate needs. If you have any questions, please post them in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. If you liked this video, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel to find out more about the best places to live in Atlanta, Georgia. You can also check out this video to hear all about living in one of Atlanta's best suburbs. See you next time.